Yo, what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for October 5th, Thursday of 2023. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. Hopefully, you guys are having a wonderful week so far. Before we hop into this, a couple of announcements. I totally have miffed on the October tarot report for all 12 signs. Like, I thought about it yesterday. I was like, oh snap, it's October. We're already 4 days into it. I know I've done it late before. I really don't want to be doing it late every single month, but I totally forgot about it. Now, to be fair, I might switch it up this month anyways, because I want to kind of play around with the different things on my channel, right? So I may end up switching it up just a little bit this month anyways. Maybe I'll do like a pick a card and I'll do like 3 or 4 piles. But I do want to figure out something for the 12 signs, but, I may still end up doing it, but I'm going to figure something out. So, I have time today to do it. I can do it tomorrow. I have time Saturday. So I will definitely figure out some time over the next few days to do an extra reading, whether it's for the 12 signs or whether it's just like a pick a card reading as well. So, because that video ends up being very, very long. It's like a 2-3 hour video. And, I just, I want to make sure I deliver something to you guys, obviously. And I'm going to give you guys my best at whatever I deliver. I kind of miffed on that one. So, the other thing is that I want to really just start doing other, obviously I have the daily videos. I have like that monthly video, but I want to do like other astrology things, like kind of like looking more into certain planets, certain transits that are going to be happening, more expanding on those sort of things. So that's the other part too. I want to make sure I start doing that. The other part too. Now this is the really exciting part, right? This is the really exciting part. So on, what was it? It was Tuesday. Yeah, I guess it was Tuesday, or maybe it was Monday. No, it was Monday. Yeah, today's Thursday. So on Monday, I started channeling something really, really cool. And this is kind of part of what it looks like. Planetary base stat totals. Essentially, looking at the power level of each planet and utilizing where their position is in the chart, and also utilizing the decan that they're in to essentially assign each planet a base level power, if you will. I say base power, that's mainly based off of just like birth chart, but you can also do just like the mundane, like daily astrology as well. But through this, I was able to actually find different power stat totals for each planet. Now, you do have things like the essential dignities, which already do that, right? So if I were to show you guys, real fast, I'll show you guys. So, yeah, you have things like this, like the essential dignities, right? Where it shows essentially the strength of different planets and stuff, right? So now, even if I'm looking at this, the moon has a +9. Looking at the power score that I came up with, this is pretty accurate. Looking at Venus, this right here is, compared to these other planets, pretty accurate. Jupiter here at +4. Looking at everything here, that's pretty accurate. The sun at +1. According to mine, Saturn actually does have they're about the same on here. But Saturn in my system actually has a higher power total than the sun. Mercury at +0, which is kind of interesting because Mercury's power total is actually a bit higher than that. And then Mars at -3, Mars actually has a higher power total than the sun. So it's a little bit different, but it's kind of, it doesn't take into consideration all these other things, which some of these things we don't really look at anymore, like trip, term, face. A lot of these things, a lot of times in modern day astrology, we don't really look at those sort of things. But I kind of wanted to come up with something that was fun, but also can kind of, simplify things. And what I really love about this system, which I'm going to end up making a whole video about this, is it really does show the balance in the universe. It shows the balance in the chart and how no one placement is better than another because you have to take into context everything else around it. So someone may have a very strong Venus, but maybe their Mars is a little bit weaker as far as like the power level, and vice versa. So it's really really cool. I think you can really start to look at synastry in a cool way with this too. And I just started like playing around. I just started channeling this on Monday, so it's still pretty fresh. I'm going to go ahead, and I'm normally with these sort of things, you would just kind of stay on it for a while and fine tune it before you release it. I'm going to go ahead and start actually like releasing it, because then the cool thing is that we can kind of work through it together. I can see if it lands with you guys. I can see if it resonates with you guys, and it can be like a live me working in the lab trying to figure out this whole system. I've already have mentioned this system to a couple of other astrologers too, and they are pretty excited. It seems like it resonates with them too. So this is actually really, really freaking exciting. But and I will, like I said, I will implement them in the astrology forecast, and I will kind of implement it in today's forecast too. But it'll be like a soft release, if you will. So in any event, let's go ahead and get into the actual transits for today. So let me bring back up the. All right, so what do we have going on today, guys? Well, we do have, of course, that sun here in Libra. It's going to hit 12 degrees today. And, it is building up to that quincunx with Jupiter. So we have really 6 aspects that we can look at, right? We have the building energies, which is the sun quincunxing to Jupiter, right? Sun and Libra quincunxing to Jupiter. That's kind of building up. It's that awkward stare from across the room. That's what I call the quincunx, right? You also have a Mars-Pluto, which is about to square. Now, square can relate to tension. So there's tension building between Mars and Pluto, and that aspect is building too. I feel like that is definitely the more prevalent one of the building energies, but we'll kind of revisit that one. Let's take a look at the 4 aspects that are happening exactly today. Now, we do have, of course, the moon moving into its home sign of Cancer. So the moon's going to be feeling a lot better. It's going to be feeling good as far as that aspect. It's going to feel like it has the power. Now, that being said, it's still going to be stressed because it's going to be making some squares, right? It's going to experience tension by making all of the squares to the Libra energy, and it's going to be stressed by making all of the squares to the Aries energy. So even though the moon is at home and it has its strength, doesn't mean that it's not going to be, succumbed to challenges and tensions, if you will. So as you can see, immediately when the moon comes in, it squares Mercury. Now, they're square exactly at 1 degree, right? Like I said, this is going to cause some tension. Whereas the moon is at home in Cancer, it's at home because it's in its own decan, so that gives it a lot of power. So I will say that the moon's power level is actually higher than Mercury's power level during this tension. So there's a tendency to where we may lean more towards the moon when it comes to the tension that builds here. Now, that doesn't mean that conflict necessarily has to arise, but there's some tension here. Mercury just left its exaltation in Mercury and moved into Libra. Its power score in Virgo was a lot higher than it is in Libra. It doesn't mind being in Libra, but now when it comes to our thoughts, we're trying to balance things out. There's a lot of Libra energy right now. Mercury, Pallas, Sun, South Node, Mars. So Mercury joins the party in Libra, and this party is a fucking wild one. Let me just say that. You have a Sun that's in fall. You have Pallas that's trying to, bring some kind of order to this. You have the South Node in here, and you have Mars. A Mars that doesn't want to be here as well. And Mars is finally kind of past all the craziness, but Mars still has to go and have some tension with Pluto. So it's like Mars is at this party, if you will, and then Pluto's about to call up Mars, and it's going to be Pluto's about to deliver some intense information, especially if you think about it like this, right? Think about Pluto, Saturn, and Mars being like part of a mob, right? Think about them being part of a mob. Now, Saturn is actually the mob head, right? Pluto is like the executioner, and Mars is like the foot soldier. So, like, you have the foot soldier here that's about to hit up the executioner, right? And and the executioner is like, "Are you willing to do this?" And Mars is gonna be like, "Yo, like, I mean, I'm just like a grunt. I'm a foot soldier. You know what I'm saying? Like." And Pluto's like, "Don't let me come out there and do your work for you. You know, Saturn's not going to be happy if I have to come out there and do your work for you. You got to you kind of have to like put on your big boy pants, your big girl pants, and you got to actually do this thing." That's kind of the weird thing about this. So Mercury joins this whole party. Mercury walks into Libra and just sees that everything's on fucking fire. The sun is not acting right because the sun is, the sun is in its fall position, right? So the sun's kind of malfunctioning a little bit, right? Pallas Athena is simply just trying to strategize. So it's like, okay, like, do y'all have a fire hydrant? No, we don't have a fire hydrant. Oh, crap. Okay, I want a fire hydrant. Do y'all have a fire extinguisher? No, we don't have a fire extinguisher. Oh, okay. Do you guys have this thing? No, we don't have that thing. Oh, crap. What do you guys have? Well, we have like, we have some cookies. Cookies? What are cookies going to do in this situation, right? We have like some duct tape. You know what I'm saying? We have some duct tape. We have some glue. And you have to kind of like figure out how we're going to bring this all together. Remember, Libra, this is all about, how we connect with other people. This is, of course, about relationships, relating to people. There's an element of politics that come into this too, where it's like diplomatic relationships as well. So, I mean, especially right now, if you're in America, look at America's government right now. And all this energy is squaring Capricorn Pluto. Right? Just look at all that. It really does feel like right now we are being held together by duct tape and glue. You know those cars? You ever go driving and you see those cars where like the freaking fender or like the bumper is held up by like some string or something like that? That's what it feels like right now. But at least you have a car to get from point A to point B. You may just not necessarily have the money to fix the thing right now, but at least you have some resources to get out. Now, of course, people looking, bystanders looking, may be like, you might want to get that fixed, right? Or they may judge you for it, right? So this is not a time where you want to be too judgmental because you don't know someone's situation, right? So Mercury steps into this shit. So it's like Mercury steps into Libra, and it's like, oh crap, look at all this chaos right now. What the fuck's going on? And then immediately behind them, the moon is like, hey, what's up? This is how you feel about it. This is how I feel about all this stuff right now. And now Mercury's like, oh crap, I just walked into this mess. Now the moon is squaring my ass, and the moon has a lot of power right here because it's in its home sign, because it's in its home decan. So this is a day where, we could potentially get kind of caught up emotionally about things, but you don't want to get too swept away by the current. Now, despite the fact that the moon has a lot of power right now, according to my new system that I've created and I've come up with, the moon actually, as far as power level goes, doesn't have the highest power level. That honor goes to Neptune. Let's talk about Neptune. Neptune is going to be in quincunx to Mars today. So Mars is trying to get out of the chaos, trying to get to Scorpio where it feels a lot better, but it has to do with the quincunx over to Neptune. So that's going to be interesting. That's an awkward aspect. And like I said, Neptune has a lot of power right now. It has the highest power score of any planet right now, according to my calculations. Mars is one of the weaker ones. So it can be really tough during this time when it feels like things are being held together by duct tape and glue. It can be hard, especially for those of you on a spiritual path, those of you light workers, because like this could be that moment where you kind of ask God, it's like, God, Spirit, how do I make it through these moments? How do I make it through this? And how do I find the resolve and the strength to continue to connect with people and have these relationships, even if, that person, they're acting out subconsciously, maybe they're acting out unconsciously. It's like, it's interesting how you can go into these moments where, but there's moments where you still have to connect with people, right? So this is really a moment where we have to realize that, we can't take things too personally right now. Can't take things too personally. There can be an element here, especially for those of you who are spiritual on this light worker path, where you may be dealing with people and a lot of like their subconscious shit will be kind of rising to the surface. And not to say that yours isn't either, because I think sometimes we kind of like blind ourselves or turn a blind eye to our own subconscious shit that comes out. But you may feel like it's hard to do with these individuals because you'd be like, why can't they just wake up? Why can't they just know that they can manifest? Why can't they just know that they are this infinite being? It's like you have to allow people to live their journey, to go about their journey, and to evolve at their own pace. The thing about it right now, too, guys, you got to think about this, because Neptune has such a high power score that when it comes to like the media and these currents, it is really easy to get swept up under it. Unless you personally have a very powerful Neptune, which that would only really be the kids that are born since 2012, and they're 9. Well, no, they're not 9. They're like what, 10, like 10, 11, like those kids, right? So but that's the thing too. They are still in many ways indoctrinated within this energy as well, right? They grew up in this. So unless you were born the last time Neptune was in Pisces, right? No one, like, unless you're born with that, no one really has a Neptune that has this strong of a power level. So everybody, in many ways, is influenced by these weird currents that are happening right now. It can be influenced by the media and other people and whatever like that, but also comes down to the whole spiritual aspect of this, where it really does raise, in many ways, it really is raising this awareness of the spiritual nature of our spiritual nature, the spiritual nature of this plane of existence, even though all this seems physical, right? But this is the raising of the awareness. It's really kind of cool looking at the power levels of this too, because the other thing about the essential dignities is that it doesn't calculate the power levels of like some of the outer planets. But this makes sense. It makes sense that when Neptune went into Pisces in 2012, it makes sense that the power level of Neptune was at its highest in such a long time, because the only way it would have been as high as that is if Neptune was in like Cancer. And that was a long time ago, right? No one alive has seen that. At least, I don't think so anyways. I had to like really, really go back, but I don't think anyone has seen that. So that's the thing about this, is that the level of spirit power right now, in many ways, is really, really high. Now I would say that the sun represents your spirit, but I say that with Pisces, being that it's the 12th house, it's that mystical house that you don't see. It's the spirit realm. It's that which is not readily like obvious, but is there. It is that underlying current, right? So that's the thing about this. That energy is really high right now. So have some grace in yourself. Have some grace on other people. We're trying to hold this thing together with duct tape and glue right now, because that is just what we have at the moment. And we're moving into this eclipse season coming up. So, yeah, things are going to feel a little bit awkward. That Mars, King Kong's over to Neptune. This is really that moment where it's like you have to kind of dig deep and find your resolve and realize, like, be that spiritual warrior, if you will, right? Be that spiritual warrior. And what's interesting about this too is that because of where Mars is, right? It's in this decan that's ruled by Mercury, right? So Mercury just shifted from Virgo to Libra. Mercury was a little bit stronger in Virgo, so it actually gave Mars a little bit more power. Mars technically lost just a tiny little bit of power, and that tiny little bit of power lost because Mercury moved out of its exaltation into a sign where it's pretty much neutral. It's in the air sign at the very least, so there's some element to where Mercury does feel a little comfortable here. Like it can use the context clues and actually like kind of make sense of things here. But because of that tiny little shift, you may feel like this tiny little shift in the Mars power, which will have some people feel like they are at the end of their rope. And that's why transits like this and astrology like this, it's like I wouldn't be doing you guys a service if I just held back. And I'm like, guys, just you can make it through these moments. These are times, especially with a Neptune at such a high degree in Pisces with such a high power. This is moments where people may freak out. They may turn to drugs. They may turn to alcohol. They may turn to something to just try and blunt the pain, to try and blunt their reality because maybe they feel like that at the end of the road. At the end of the road, this is like suicide watch, like that. That's like, that's high as well right now because people really may feel like they don't have anything. They may feel like their life is literally being held together by not even duct tape. Some people may feel like it's scotch tape and it's hard to keep it together. I'm telling you guys that all of these problems that we feel like we have, that we are experiencing right now, and the feeling that there are absolutely no solutions in sight is an absolute fucking illusion. And that's not to say that there aren't problems or challenges or tensions, but it's to say that there are solutions there. We just can't force our ideal and project our ideal on what we think those solutions are. And we can't expect them to come at the speed at which we want them to come. That's the thing about this. They are there and they are trickling in. But you have to look at your life right now. You have to go within. It's not external. You have to go within and find the things that do work. Find the things that do work. For example, I'll give you guys an example. And this may seem very weird, but this is what I'm channeling. This is what's coming through. Back when my anxiety and panic attack was like really, really bad, and I still experience these things, but back when it was like really, really bad, right? I would give myself little things to look forward to. And the thing that I chose was Pokemon games because I love Pokemon, right? And there's usually a game that comes out every single year around my birthday. And there are moments where I literally just felt like my anxiety and the anxiety and the panic attacks I was experiencing was going to kill me. I literally thought that I was in a dark place. I thought it was going to kill me. And I was like, if I can just make it to this date so I can experience playing this game, then I can make it. And that's one of the things that actually got me through that, which seems weird and crazy to some people, but that's what helped me. Now I am in a lot better place, you know what I'm saying? But there was like a 2 to 3 year period where that was pretty much the case. It was like 2018, 2019, 2020, even 2021. Like there was a time where like that was like my reality. I was like, if I can just make it to playing this game or doing this thing, I gave myself like an event or something to look forward to. And that was like, well, I want to experience that. I really want to experience that, you know? So I kind of engaged with my Scorpio a little bit, the desire aspect. And, you know, that's what helped me get through it. So look for something in your life. You know what I mean? If you feel like you may be at the end of your rope right now, look at something in your life, plan something fun for yourself, and give yourself something fun to look forward to. And yeah, there's gonna be these things that come up where it's like, oh well, you can't do that because you don't have enough money. Oh well, you can't do that because you have this responsibility and that responsibility. Oh well, you gotta take care of this thing. Oh, what about this thing? You have to disregard all that because while there may be truth in all that, maybe there's some truth in all that, right? But it's not the truth. It's just your opinions, your thoughts, it's your judgments on your situation. Give yourself something fun to look forward to. Give yourself something fun to look forward to. I think that has a lot to do with the building energy of the sun conjuncting over to Jupiter, which, like I said, it's an awkward aspect. It's an awkward aspect, right? But being that this is going to happen, I think it's going to happen at 13 degrees, actually. And Jupiter is actually going to have a higher power score than the sun. So this is about like going within, and especially since Jupiter is retrograde, this is about really going within, realizing our value and expanding upon that inner value. So giving ourselves something joyous to look forward to, something happy to look forward to, right? And realizing that we are worthy of experiencing that jubilation, that excitement, that joy, that we are worthy of experiencing that, right? So I think today is going to be a day that's going to cause some tension. Now, there is going to be one harmonizing aspect between the moon and Saturn, right? So they're going to be in trine today. That's a harmonious aspect. Now, of course, like I said, the moon has a bit of a higher power score than the sun, and then Saturn in this case. But this is about like, you know what? Despite all of those weird things, despite, how we're trying to, make our dreams a reality, if you will, Saturn is retrograde here, that we can still find moments of peace. We can still find moments to experience those positive emotions throughout the day, even when things feel like lead, like what's happening, even though when things feel black or dark or feel heavy. We can still find ways to feel light about our situations, about what we're going through. This is about taking the time and carving out that time throughout your day, 5, 10, 15, 30 minutes somewhere where you do something that makes you feel light, that makes you feel that love, that warm, ever-present love from the universe, from God, whatever you want to call it, but that warm, ever-present love that just wants to see you become the greatest version of yourself. So focus on that today. Focus on those things over the course of this week, because things are getting more tense. Yeah, we have planets that are coming out of their retrograde. Yeah, we have a Pluto that's pretty much stationed and is about to, come direct next week. Yes, we have a Venus that's going to be coming out of its shadow in Leo, but then it's going to be going into its fall in Virgo. So Venus is going to be losing a little bit of power, right? Venus is trying to give home to Libra, so where she feels the most powerful, right? So we still have to go through that too. And of course, we have the eclipses. So it can feel pretty tense right now. It can feel a little awkward right now. And I think the awkward part of it is that, like, trying to find our power can feel a little bit awkward, and trying to, find the joy in things and try to find the bliss in things and trying to feel positive about things, trying to feel optimistic about things, that can feel awkward right now. But you got to go through it. You got to do it, because that's what's going to help you get through these times. Even when things are going crazy, it's still powerful to be optimistic. So that's what this comes down to. Let's get into the cards, shall we? I can't wait to show you guys this system. It's so cool. It's so cool. And I'll figure out a way exactly to kind of show you guys too the power scores every single day. What's interesting, I'm excited to see, because I just started calculating these numbers on Monday. So I'm excited to see how power scores change over the course of the seasons and stuff like that. But you can see things like some of the outer planets, their power scores are pretty much going to remain the same. And I mean, it depends upon, I guess, the decan that they're in, but they'll pretty much stay relatively the same, because the bulk of the score comes from where they are. So since they move slower, for example, out of the outer planets, Uranus is the weakest one because it's in Taurus. It'd much rather be in Scorpio, because that's where it's exalted. Where it's in Taurus, it's in fall. So, you have that. Neptune is going to be strong here for a while. And it's actually, the intensity of Neptune's actually going to crank up in 2024 going into 2025, believe it or not. Going to crank up slightly, but some people are going to really feel it, especially if you're sensitive. So if you think that things are crazy right now, as far as that stuff goes, it's about to actually crank up, right? So let's get to the cards. What do we got going on? We have the Page of Cups today. Yeah, I mean, I really feel like this is that moon moving into Cancer, that first decan of Cancer, and it will move into the second decan as well, where Pluto is. And technically, its power level goes down just ever so slightly, but it's pretty much the same all throughout. So that moon going into Cancer, we have this Page of Cups here. Yeah, this is definitely a day where, we may be kind of feeling like we are wearing our heart on our sleeve like the Page of Cups, but he's not the Knight yet. The Knight is definitely going after the Holy Grail, whereas the Page of Cups is kind of like that initiate, it's that student. So, today's a day where we may feel like more like a student of our emotions today. And this is a day where we want to just kind of observe them and be calm about things, not allow things to get us too riled up with some of these awkward aspects that are happening today and the tension that is building, especially between Mars and Pluto. There's a little bit of tension with that Moon and Mercury today. Of course, like I said, that's happening at 1 degrees, but we want to be calm. We want to remain a cool head throughout all this. We also have the Four of Swords. Yeah, this is a day where we take some time to rest today. Take some time to meditate today. You know what I'm saying? So we are in a spiritual war, and this is a time where we don't want to just force the issue too much. Mercury stumbles into Libra and sees all this chaos that's happening. The moon square Mercury is actually kind of a blessing in disguise, even though it's tension. It's reminding us that even when we were walking into these weird situations, and now that our mentally, we're going to really start to focus on this Libra energy, and we're really going to start to think about it's going to come into our consciousness more as far as that vibration to remind ourselves to rest during this time. Remind ourselves to rest, to take time to meditate, to take time to chill out, because otherwise we're just going to feel the weight of all of these things coalescing. And, it may be a bit much for us. We also have the Page of Wands in reverse. Yeah, this is definitely not a time to be taking really impulsive actions. Now, we can take action and move things forward and make changes, but they do have to be somewhat calculated. Not somewhat calculated, they need to be calculated. They need to have some thought that have gone into it. It can't just be something that is an impulsive reaction to an external stimuli. That's why it's super important to kind of go within, because if we respond to these things impulsively, you may end up blowing up things in your life that have no business being blown up. Just because it doesn't feel exactly the way that you want to doesn't mean that it is negative or bad. It just means that it's not exactly the way that you want to. So we have to kind of get out of our ego mind for a second. We kind of have to get out of it's gotta look this way, and if it doesn't, I'm gonna just blow it up and go over here. This is not a day to just especially if you have no plan. This is not a time for just unprovoked impulsive action where it's all right, I'm gonna just freaking move across the country. Oh, okay, why? It just doesn't feel good anymore. I can't connect to anyone here anymore. I can't connect to my family. I can't connect to my friends. I'm just gonna move. That's not the best decision right now. You are welcome to do it because you have your free will, but your fate, these are fated times. So it's yeah, you have your free will, but you understand that based off of those actions, certain things you will be fated to experience, right? So you have the choice of what direction to go, but fate is still going to be there staring you in the face. So don't be doing too many crazy things like that. If you do feel like you have to make some changes and take some action, just make sure that you're being calm, cool, and collected about it. Make sure that you're going within. Make sure that you're not being just influenced too much by the external world, and putting it through the right channels so you can make the best decisions possible, right? You don't want to just stay stuck and stagnant because you're afraid of this energy, because you're worried that you might make the wrong decision, right? But if you're already are kind of going over things in your mind and trying to calculate how to move through this and stuff, and also just know that you are blessed and know that you can make it through these times and that you are very strong, then you'll be good. Then you'll be fine. Not that you won't experience the tensions or the challenges, but you'll be fine if you do that, right? But don't just go completely off the rails and try to escape from this energy. No one's escaping from this. So it's best that we make the best of what we have. That is going to do it for your astrology forecast today. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. If you would like to have a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to my website, jphoenix.com. As always, y'all take care, stay blessed, have a wonderful day. I will see you guys on the next astrology forecast. Peace.